I have something that I am genuinely excited to kind of work on. Now, I know what you're saying. Why? It's an edger. But look at it. I've worked on a lot of these engines, except they were always on chainsaws. I think there was a grinder at one point, but it's basically a chainsaw just with the extension to turn into a gas-powered grinder. But this one is on an edger. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. It's a Homelite. It's definitely interesting. So, what I want to do is, the owner says it will run for about 10 seconds or so, and then as soon as you try to give it any type of throttle, it just dies. I'm assuming it probably has a fuel problem, so let's just go ahead and get started with that. I'm not even going to bother to try to turn it on, because he's pretty reliable. I'm not going to second guess it, but I do want to get started. I think what we'll do is we'll take off the cover. Maybe it's simple as the air filter being dirty. I'm sure it's probably a fuel lines and filter and carb and all that, but let's just see what we have. Let's try this. Huh, that was something I was not expecting, a paper filter. Okay. Those look like 5/16. Fuel line doesn't seem too hard. I mean, it's definitely not a spring chicken, but I'm not really sure on where you would give a throttle. Where does that even go? Okay, sure, let's be that way. There we go. Where does that throttle go? There's nothing on top. Is there a lever somewhere I'm just not seeing? Is it governed? Well, if we don't do this now, we'll have to do it later. Let's just take off this side cover too. Oh, it is governed. Look at this. It's like one of those old Briggs style. This controls probably through like a spring the RPM it gets. Huh. Well, that's just interesting. Okay, let's take the carb off and I'll take you to the carb station. Here's the problem with this engine. To do pretty much anything, you have to take the whole engine out of the case. For instance, to take the tank off, I have to take the flywheel out. Which also means I have to take the coil off. Maybe not off. Would make it easier to put something behind here and take it off. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Let's remember Yellow goes on top. This is one of those types of chainsaws, and pretty much this, anything that's connected to. They probably sold 1 million of them when they were new, but then over time they started going bad, and then people didn't want to spend the money because it was so labor intensive to repair them, because inevitably it probably would have to be repaired. Okay, I'm gonna get prepared for removing this flywheel. Cover your ears. Okie dokie. So now we have access to the tank. I'm going to take off the fuel lines and then we'll take the tank out. I want to see what gas is in there. And I also noticed when I was pulling on this, the motion wasn't very fluid. So I want to kind of lubricate behind it as well. The main reason why I even bother to do this. Well, I'm going to take this out of the way. I think we found our first problem. I went to take off the fuel line and I noticed the fuel line was kind of bending this. And then I went to take off the other one and then I heard snap. So this one was already broken. That's unfortunate. It came off right there. The real unfortunate part is this type of carb is a Walbro that's very peculiar. This, however, is a Walbro. I'm hoping if I take this piece off, I can shove that right back in there. Okay, so far so good. This is why I like to keep junk carbs around. Okay, I think we're gonna survive this. These gaskets are fixed to it too. Another reason why I want to take the side off and the tank out is it's going to be a whole lot easier to redo those fuel lines with the tank out. A whole lot easier. A couple minutes of taking the flywheel off is nothing in comparison. You could do that flywheel method with pretty much any flywheel. It doesn't really have to be a small one or a big one. What you do want to be careful of though is you need to put down a decent amount of pressure on the air hammer, because if you don't, it can jump around and then you can damage the shaft. More likely than not, it probably won't be a problem, but you'll be that one person who is unlucky enough to put a dent right in this side where the let me clean this. Where the nut has to go, and then next thing you know, nope, that's not gonna go back on there. So you caused a problem. So just be careful. You can take a hammer, but on a small one like that, that's gonna be a little hard. That's why I don't like using the hammer. Sometimes you have to. So this is supposed to be soft and pliable, and it's none of those things. Found our problem. That metal piece makes contact with the needle, and when it let me clean up an area. When the diaphragm gets hard, then it has a really hard time metering the fuel, because the fuel pressure and the air pressure behind it isn't moving the diaphragm, and then the more likely than not enough fuel is going in the carb, so you're gonna have problems. Let's see what, there's only one screw here too, which makes it even odder. It's nice, but it's odd. It's half, it's one, hair over one. I guess that makes sense. It doesn't need a high or a low if it's going to be running at 1 RPM. That governor system is very interesting. I can honestly say I don't think I've seen that before. At least not on this. But like I said, I've only seen these engines on chainsaws and that one disc grinder. Or the grinder, yeah. There might have been something else, but I can't remember. The ultrasonic cleaner is warming up. It's about 45 degrees Celsius right now. It's plenty warm. I think this had been rebuilt before, because generally I don't see this style. Because if you're only rebuilding the carburetor, it's not too difficult. Changing the fuel lines and everything else, yeah, that can take some time. Okay, I'm going to work on this next. Let's take out this check. I'm going to blow everything out pretty thoroughly. Clean it, put another check in there, put this in the carb cleaner, and then hopefully we should be ready to reassemble. Everything is out of the washer, so let's put it back together. Now while you were gone, I ate lunch, replaced the fuel line, just put new fuel line on there, just make sure it's the same size, it's not rocket science. So we should be set to go after this. I also pressed in the fuel inlet, or I think that's the outlet. Yeah, that's the outlet. So we should be okay on that one. This I'm not going to worry too much about, just maybe give it a quick cleaning. Because to be honest, it doesn't look bad at all. There we go. I did clean it with the gaskets on because unfortunately it would have just ripped them, and I don't think I have that one. Maybe, but I don't think so. I replaced the check. Now we need to figure out if I have one of these diaphragms. Pretty sure I do. Yeah, it's just one of the standard ones. Very good. That's the beautiful part about My mind just went blank. Not Zama, the Walboro. There we go. Walboro carbs. Those are the same too. They're all kind of the same. I mean, even Walboro, Zama's are too, don't get me wrong, but they don't require a whole lot of specialty pieces. Let me find one. Of course, as soon as I turn you off, I find it immediately. So, what I'm looking for here is the height of that little nipple, I guess that's what I would call it, as well as the size and the orientation of the top. Some of them have a little hole for like, passageway for fuel. This one appeared does not. So, you should be okay. Well, it does, but the gasket just is the one that holds it together. So we need to wipe that off a little bit. And put that on like so. Let's get a new bulb. I'm almost running out of the small ones. Yeah. Okay, dokie. There we go. I guess it doesn't really matter. And of course, we do it crosswise. That was a fuel inlet. You can test it. It's a little harder with the outlet, though. I think that should be okay. Okay, let's put this on. Before I put it on, I wanted to show you the gas that came out of it. That's not normal, so we'll put fresh stuff in. I don't know if my just pressing is going to be enough for that, for this, the fuel inlet or outlet. So I'm going to mix up a real small section of JB weld and put the thinnest of layers so it doesn't clog, and let it sit for a bit. This does not want to open. There we go. Just as a precaution. You know, I don't want it to leak. And JB weld, according to the label, is fuel safe. Yeah, whatever. We'll just continue to use that, and then we'll use the other side. That should be okay. Put this in there. Do you ever get caught up in the small stuff and end up like losing out on the big picture? That's what happened with the mixture screw. So now we have half, one, a little over one. I also put some non-ethanol in here. Oh wait, that's not the right one. I don't even know where that came from. Where did that come from? Oh, I know where that came from. At least the carb was easy enough to add the mixture screw to. There it goes. Perfect. Can't see, but the primer bulb is about 3/4 of the way full. Looks exactly what you want. Let's give it a pull. See what we have. Let's do half choke. You probably can't see anything. I legitimately can't even adjust it. It's bouncing around so much. I'm going to turn it in to exactly 1. Attempt number 2. I really would like to see if I can tune it. Maybe I just need a thinner screwdriver. Let me grab a thinner one, a clamp. Let's try it again. Well, there you have it. I'm going to check it or test it out on some grass real quick. I think it's pretty much good. I'm going to sharpen the blade. It's a little dull, not too bad. And that's it. It's very similar to the chainsaw. In fact, it's almost identical, except it's just a whole lot easier to tune. But I like it. It's an interesting little piece of equipment. I've never seen one of these, like I said. It's actually been quite nice to work on it. Well, I'm sure almost no one has one of these, but if you do, throw a thumbs up. Let me know if this helped you. Yeah, leave a comment below if you do have anything like this, or if you have the chainsaw. The Carb is exactly the same. Some of them might have the older style. If it's the metal body, it'll be different, but if it's the plastic one, it should be about the same Carb, I believe. Might be a tad different just because it doesn't have the auto governor, I guess I would call it. And yeah, so definitely keep on watching, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night.